Yeah.
What's the significance of a bar mitzvah?
A bar mitzvah, which means son of the mitzvah, son of the commandment, it's the moment at which a Jewish boy, or a bat mitzvah, which means daughter in the case of a Jewish girl, becomes obliged to keep the commandments. However, the truth is, this actually, Judaism would say this applies to every human being. Once you reach a certain age in life, you suddenly become morally accountable before God and before the rest of the world. So it's really saying this is the age at which you now have a duty to take responsibility for your actions. So for men it's 13, for women it's 12. This is where it begins. Obviously the full accountability doesn't start then. It takes time, and it starts to become you've become fully responsible once you hit your 20s. That's the Jewish view of that. But yeah.
How come some people do their bar mitzvahs later?
Who does their bar mitzvahs later?
I swear.
Do you mean like a second bar mitzvah?
No, like you can do a bar mitzvah when you're like 25 or...
I think what this typically is the case here is where you have people who didn't have a bar mitzvah ceremony. The truth is, though, you actually don't need to have any ceremony or any party or anything. By definition, once you hit a certain age, you are bar mitzvah, which means you are now morally accountable. And society knows this to some extent. We all know once you hit a certain age, you have to take some accountability for your actions. And so that's really the point. It's saying you're becoming an adult now. You're now seeing beyond yourself. You know, it's interesting. The first time Moses, who's considered the greatest rabbi, the greatest leader of the Jewish people, I assume you're vaguely familiar with Moses and his story. If you're not, please. But it's the Torah, the book of Exodus, describes how Moses, he grew up, and the second after it says he grew up, after his childhood, it goes through some instances of Moses seeing first the suffering of a Jewish slave being bullied and abused and harassed by an Egyptian slave owner, the Pharaoh's aristocracy. And then he sees the suffering of two Midianite girls, okay, and he tries to put a stop to it. And then he sees the burning bush. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that part of the story, but he sees this burning bush and God speaks to him from the bush. But the point is, we learn from this that just before we see these three things that Moses notices, it says he grew up. So what's it telling us about growing up? It's telling us that what it means to really grow up is to finally see beyond yourself. Not just to think about your own needs, to think about what you want, as we said, and actually to take some responsibility for the world around you. So it says Moses grows up, and what does growing up mean? He sees the suffering of his brethren. He sees the suffering of these girls being abused by the well. He sees the voice of God and hears the calling of God, the calling of what his life really is all about. So what it's telling us is to grow up means to see beyond yourself, your own immediate needs, and actually think, hold on one sec, forget what I need for a second. What am I here for? How can I actually serve a purpose? Not what do I need, but who needs me? And that is what it really means to grow up.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.